Today's going to be a little bit different of a video. I've had this footage on my tablet for a very long time, and it's taking up a lot of space because it is a ton of footage. Actually, if I just like highlight the whole thing and drop it into Movie Maker, it is 466 minutes, which translates to like over 7 hours. Like it's almost 7.5 hours of footage. And my original idea was just to make like one of those speed build videos where you have some like music in the background and it's just everything's going super fast. But if for iMovie Maker, which is what I use, speed everything up, it still only cuts it down to like 3 hours. So, and I love speed build videos and everything, but that's way too long. Even an hour is way too long. It needs to be like 20 minutes max. But this was a very big project that I did, and disclaimer, this is not a how-to video. This is not anything like that. This is not go out and do this. I'm sure there are regulations for wheelchairs to make them safe. I just did this more of a project, and I filmed it kind of to document my process for this project that I had, experiment, whatever you want to call it. So real clear, not a how-to video. I just want to kind of share this and document it for my sake of doing this project. Kind of short version, I don't need a wheelchair. I make gear and I make service dog videos. So if you like service dog videos, do click the subscribe down below. And I train dogs, and train dogs mainly train service dogs. So I kind of needed a wheelchair. Mainly I wanted a wheelchair so that I can learn how to use a wheelchair, how to train a dog around a wheelchair, how to train a dog when you're in a wheelchair, and also make gear specifically for service dogs where their handlers use wheelchairs. So Elsa, she's over here playing with a toy. Come here. Come here. Yeah. You want to say hi? Come here. Oh, say hi, Elsa. He's like, I want to play with my toy. So, yeah. So that's basically the short version. I may make a longer version to kind of explain if people are kind of still confused. But I want to go ahead and jump right into the video. And what I'm going to do... There you go. Go get it. What I'm going to do is basically talk through what I did, and I'll be showing clips to kind of illustrate that. Because, like I said, if I were to just play all the clips that I have, even I took a lot of them out, it's hours and hours long. So hopefully this way it won't be that long. Alright, so I started this project, like I said, back in August 23rd, 2018. The first thing I did was I cut the push rims. So I kind of, how I did this was, I found this on Pinterest, and you basically make a wheel, glue them together, which was very interesting to do. Originally I wanted to put like wax paper so that like the rope didn't stick to it, but luckily I didn't have too much of a problem because I ended up ditching the wax paper. I was trying to make it very clean. But I did end up cutting it off anyway, so it really didn't matter. But those actually turned out really, really nice. And then we took a jigsaw and we cut around it to make them round. So we cut the inside and outside. And we actually tested those joints. Those joints were actually very, very strong. So that was kind of the first thing that we did. And actually the last thing I have worked on, because I haven't done a lot with the rims. I went to the body. Elsa, no squeaky toy. No squeaky toy. Stop. Okay, so the next day, now we're on the 24th, we cut the legs, for the body. We cut those out, and glued them together. A lot of this was like, we cut it out and then we glued it together and had it sit overnight. 25th, I checked the legs. They were, glued nice. 26th, I went ahead and glued the braces, so we did the braces, and cut out the foot plate and cut the legs. 27th, we did pre-assembly check, so I was getting very excited. It obviously looks really, really good. at this point, and I kind of just put it together, and I was just so excited how well it was turning out. I disassembled the wheels on the bike. So this is the bike I used, just an old bike I had. Has 24-inch wheels, so we just kind of repurposed it, took the wheels off. I sanded down the legs as much as I could with a Dremel. This took forever. I'm sure if I had a newer sanding bit on my Dremel, it would have gone a little bit faster. Elsa, quit. It always happens when I start filming that she grabs a squeaky toy and starts playing with it, huh? Oh. She likes her squeaky toy. Okay. So next we went ahead on the 28th, put latches and hinge. We trimmed the rims. Actually, now we trimmed the rims. And did the side assembly. So we finished up the side braces and stuff. Inserted braces. So we did the cross braces to bring the two pieces together. Finished off the foot angle, installed hinges and latches, drilled the foot plate and the legs. First major point of failure. So the caster wheels, so the smaller wheels in front, were the most difficult for this project, and I'm still trying to figure them out. You would think because we drilled the holes a little offset, so you see when we're drilling the big hole a little offset and it's on center. You may think that was the mistake, and definitely it wasn't, because we offset it so that there was more meat, as it were. It went into more wood because of the angle of the foot plate, or the legs coming down to the foot plate. If we drilled it completely centered, there wouldn't be that much wood that it would grab onto. But it ended up, when I put the plate in, this is the point of failure, was these little plate thingies that we got. They have threads on the inside and these little claws almost that pushes into the wood, and that actually split the foot plate, which didn't end up doing anything major. The foot plate never ended up breaking, but it did split the wood, and they just ended up falling out even though we glued them. We probably should have used a different glue than wood glue on metal in forethought, but yeah. Okay, so I think after that we kind of like left it alone for a little bit, maybe. 2-3 days maybe. So now we're on September 2nd, and we drilled the holes for the rear wheel. And why we did this last is because I wanted to kind of mess with the axle. So if the axle, which is where your rear wheels are going to be, if it's too far back, you're going to be too tippy. Or no, further back is less tippy, further forward is more tippy, because it actually goes a little bit to the caster wheels. So if you have the caster wheels and the rear wheels, the closer they are together, the more tippy it's going to be. Further apart they are, the more stable it's going to be. And I kind of wanted a medium where it was stable, because I'm going to be working with a dog. Obviously, you're going to have outside forces, as it will. You're going to be holding onto a leash, so you don't want your wheelchair to be super tippy. But I do want it to be a little tippy, because obviously there's some balances in play when you're in a wheelchair. And I want it to be able to pop up the front wheels onto a curb or something. Okay, so we knew that there was a ton of forces here. So on both sides of wood we put a plate, a metal plate, and this was just like a mending plate, I think is what they call them. I think they were $2 or $3 each, and we had got 2 packs, so we had 4 plates. So I think it was about $6, and we drilled a hole in the center, and then we kind of marked it on the wood where we wanted the axle, and then lined it up, and then put the 6 little screws. They're very small screws, but it actually worked out very, very well. And originally it was super tight, but that was okay, because I think we just screwed in the axles, the wheel axles, and I think it ended up crushing the threads on the axles, but it made for a super tight fit, because if you have a loose fit, then you're going to have a lot of wobble in the wheel, and we didn't want that. So this looked like really nice. So held very tight when it was finished. but a ton of wobble. Not a ton of wobble. Added a brace. Oh, there was a ton of wobble like this way, so the wheels are like here. And it was actually like spreading out with the weight when you sat in the chair. The wheels were like spreading out like this. Elsa, she's trying to steal her toy. All right, I'm gonna throw it for you, and then you gotta leave me alone. Ready? Woo! So we actually had to, first improvisation that we did, we had to put a little brace in the bottom. And I didn't want to add a ton of weight to this wheelchair. I wanted to be pretty light, and it actually is like pretty stinking light, I think. But we put like a aluminum bar, and we had to bend it around the edges, and we tied it into the metal braces. And it's a little loose. It didn't come out quite as tight as I wanted it to be, but when you sit down in it, it gets like super tight. So it definitely was doing this. It was kind of barely hard to see with, you know, the naked eye. I'm sure if we measured it, it would have been super obvious. But it definitely does help having that brace there. And originally, why there was no brace right there is because I wanted the front legs to fold in so that it was more compact. Because for me, it was going to be stored more than it was going to be used. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. Wow. Okay, so September 4th was the first test I did. So I actually brought it out to Target. I have some of this footage, I believe, on my GoPro. So later I'll put a card up here when I actually finish that video, and I'm just going to make it a separate video. But here are some little clips from it that I have on my tablet. It failed pretty miserably. Instantly, those latches in the front just flung off. They were not strong enough to be able to handle those forces, and there is a ton of forces right there. I didn't really estimate how much force is right there. So that was pretty pathetic, almost. September 5th, we did Target test relook and did not install. I believe I made a little clip, so I could roll that right now. Actually showing you what actually happened. Closer look. So, rolling that. Okay, guys, so I just wanted to kind of show you what really happened to the wheelchair after our little Target visit. I kind of briefly just rewatched the video and realized I really didn't catch any of it on film. So basically what happened is the staples, or screws down here. Okay, so the screws down here essentially just rip straight out. It also, because of the weird pressure on it, I still went back to the car like this. It still worked, but because of the weird pressure, this one became extremely loose. You can kind of see it there, how this one's so loose, and this one's still nice and tight. Okay, so now on September 9th, we drilled holes for dowels, trying to fix the legs. So we kind of like tried to patch the area, drilled the hole a little bigger, put a dowel in it, and actually, never mind. This is where I'm a little confused. So we ended up kind of going back and forth on this thing. We knew the latch didn't work right there, so we figured let's put a dowel in the inside. I think normally in woodworking they're called biscuits. Kind of do a biscuit thing. So you drilled like the inside a little bit on each side, put a dowel in, and then glue the whole thing together, and it kind of forms the whole thing together. Because I really wanted to save this and make that top very round and smooth, and I didn't want a screw going through it or anything like that, which would probably have been the easiest thing to do, was just to run a screw and then cap the screw off like I was doing everything else. But I tried to do that, and I think we drilled the holes crooked, and we're like, let's just glue it flat. So we glued it together without the little dowel in there, but I think we still left the holes. And we put a brace on the back side, just like an in-case thing. So it was kind of hidden. It was on the inside, but there was a metal brace on this thing. Foresight, or in hindsight, putting the braces on the sides would have been much stronger than just on the inside. So September 9th, drilled holes. September 12th, we finished let the glue dry. We let it dry for several days, apparently. September 15th, I believe I did another test. I'm not sure if I have it filmed. That's probably all on my GoPro. But yeah, there's another test in there somewhere where I totally destroyed it once again. It just totally bent out. Those little metal bracket thingies that we put on the inside did not do anything. So yeah, that was pretty bad. So September 15th, we redid the legs again, drilled them. I think we just drilled them all the way through and capped them off that way. And I think that worked a lot better. Let the glue on the, actually we capped off the bottom where the caster wheels are. And then after the glue dried, we re-glued them, or we re-drilled and re-glued. So it gets a little confusing, sorry. But yeah, March 1st, applying same method. Clean foot plate holes, glue on foot plate. So we went ahead and glue on the foot plate. Oh, we did these new, we found these new brass furniture things. So instead of those silver ones, that just popped out, we found one that screws into the wood and then it has threads on the outside. So we did those. We didn't get those in super straight, but we did those, and those didn't end up working too good either. But it's also because it was in a dowel that was glued into the wood. So it wasn't like version 1, I guess you could say, where it went in. There were some weak points and glue joints in there. But it definitely worked better than that silver plate. That silver plate did not work at all. March 14th, we thought about relocating the caster wheels. I noticed that on a lot of wheelchairs, the caster wheels are actually not underneath. I knew the main reason I believe that is because they try to do larger caster wheels, because larger caster wheels you can't, they don't get stuck as easy. So, and you can't put them underneath the foot plate because otherwise your foot plate's going to be super high. So they relocate them to the outside. But I was also thinking maybe they also do that so that because you have pressure down on the foot plate, maybe because the pressure is, in a different spot, it's less stress. So I was kind of thinking about relocating them, but ultimately we didn't do that because it was going to be kind of hard to cut all those angled woods and everything. I'm still thinking if I want to do that for the rebuild or not. But we ended up keeping the same location. Trimmed dowels, not relocating casters. Yeah, so we ended up going back and installing a different thing. But we went ahead and installed a brace. So at this point I'm like, okay, the front legs are not going to fold in. Pretty much knew that from the very beginning, from the first test. We went and installed a new brace. So the thing's looking pretty ugly. I think if I were to sit down with like the Dremel sanding tool, I can soften it out or like smooth it out so that there's not this huge transition or anything like that. And it probably would look okay. But definitely putting that brace there, I mean, the whole thing's super rigid now. It's not going anywhere, so. March 18th, we went ahead and put new tubes in the tires because the tires were kind of old. Brace it differently, glued the drills. So we went ahead and did all that, and then we did a test. March 19th, still having wheels drag. So that was kind of one of the things I'm still needing to fix. I think a firm axle on the bottom, more than just that little aluminum bar, will help. Also maybe having skinnier tires, but when I do a circle, eventually the tires do turn out enough where they're dragging on the inside of the frame. So yeah, then we're to a Lowe's test. So I went to Lowe's and that was our first successful test that we did. I went and walked around with Elsa. I don't think I filmed any of that. I'll have to do another test that I have my husband film for me maybe, so you guys can get a good look at the chair. But yeah, so far it is working for the most part. The caster wheels still are loose, definitely looser than I want them to be. I went ahead and ordered one set of spokes to redo the wheels because I have to redo the hubs, because the hubs that I got, which are over here, these are wheelchair hand cycle hubs, and these would work except for the fact that I don't know how, because I really want it to be easily removable. I don't know how when I put an axle in it, like in the setup that I have now where it goes into the frame and then I put a nut on the outside so it doesn't come out, this would work. But I want to put like an axle through it, so I need to put like a ring or something on the outside here. I was thinking like JB Weld, something like this, but obviously a lot smaller, so that it can like slide into the axle, piece of conduit I was going to use, and I could put a pin in it so it doesn't come out. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work. It's just, I also thought about drilling straight into here. My dad said this is hardened steel and that's not going to happen. So I don't think these are going to work. I actually got some wheelchair quick release axles, so they're in a different room. I was hoping that, because I did find out messing with this, that this is just a bolt on the inside. So I was hoping, oh, if I just got the quick release axle, I could just take this bolt out and use a quick release axle. And those are made to grip inside of a pipe or something. Unfortunately, that hole that the bolt is in is actually too small for a 1/2 inch quick release. So I have to get different hubs, and there's one that I saw online. Unfortunately, the seller is out of stock. So I have to wait for those before I redo my wheels. And I'm definitely going to be redoing my wheels before I redo the frame. I'm still going to be doing little experiments on the frame, especially with the caster wheels, because that's the main thing I need to figure out, because those are not tight. But yeah, that's basically it. That catches us all up to date. I'll probably be doing little updates here and there, maybe 5-10 minute videos. So you can look forward to those if you like watching people build stuff. I personally do. Also, I am planning to do the next wheelchair video, either how to teach your dog to heel with a wheelchair, because I do have how to teach your dog to walk with a wheelchair. So I'm thinking of healing, also common maneuvers. So those should be coming out pretty soon. I don't know if I'm going to be using the wheelchair I'm making yet, but I'm hoping I can, because that one maneuvers so much better than the hospital style wheelchair that I used in my first video. So yeah, that's about it. If you like service dog stuff, have a service dog, or curious about any kind of service dog related videos, or just want to continue watching my wheelchair update videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Bye!